I hate that I decided to record when I have this fucking pimple on me. Like, of course, the day I plan to record is when I have that pimple on my fucking lips. And now you're going to stare at it all the time, and I hate it. Oh, hi, and welcome to SABnessful, where I give my opinions that no one really cares about, but will give anyways. Today, I'll be reviewing Season 2 of Hazbin Hotel, and I actually did a video on Season 1, which you guys can check out, but you don't need to have watched it to watch this one. Would it be nice if you did? It'd also be nice to caress that subscribe button to help my channel grow. And of course, like and comment and, share it around. That'd be helpful too. I'm really trying to grow my channel, but no worries, no worries. I don't honest, it's totally fine. Anyways, there's a lot to get through, so let's shed some light on Hazbin Hotel Season 2. Spoilers abound. Episode 1. Some time has passed, I think a month, since the battle from Season 1, and the hotel is packed with new guests, including Baxter, who's an inventor and used to know Serpentious. Speaking of, Charlie still mourns his death and deals with the fallout of killing so many angels. Hell basically gets the wrong impression that the hotel is about killing angels, not redemption. Don't know why. And Charlie is trying to correct this. But this is easier said than done, since the V's are using the media to spread this wrong information and get people to trust them instead. The V's, Vox, Velvet, and Val become really prominent this season and are the main villains. And during episode 1, there's a musical number about them wanting to take over heaven since they now know angels can be killed. To help make this happen, they slander Charlie and the hotel, saying the hotel has terrible conditions and that Charlie is hostile. Naturally, Charlie begins to freak out, then freaks out even more when Emily pays her a visit.
Heaven's going into lockdown because, Adam was killed, but now Sarah is worried about hell wanting revenge, and heaven doesn't want any more death. Long story short, Penchus was redeemed, and he is in heaven now. Yay!
Episode 2 takes place in heaven, where a council meeting is held to process Serpentious now being there. The Speaker of God joins and confirms that Serpentious was in fact redeemed and earned his way to heaven, which makes Sarah realize that her extermination plan was not necessary and thousands died for no reason. We then see Lute trying to convince the angels to go down and attack hell for killing Adam. Lute is pretty much losing it in this scene, trying frantically to get the angels to see her point of view, but the angels aren't having it. After the meeting, Lute talks to Sarah alone, telling her she already contacted Lilith. Sarah then tells her to call off any of her plans, and Lilith is notified she's off the hook, disappearing for the rest of the season. Sarah then sings a song about her guilt and not knowing what to do, and Lute sings a banger about wanting revenge. Gravity is the best song this season, and I will be taking no other opinions. The episode ends with Sarah having heaven go into lockdown, Emily going off to talk to Charlie, and Serpentious missing his friends. Which I want to note, now that Serpentious is a winner and in heaven, it is impossible for him to go down to hell to see his friends. Episode 3 follows Charlie telling everyone about Serpentious and trying to undo the slander from the V's. She invites the V's over to interview her and tells them that redemption is possible. However, when the V's ask her for evidence, she panics and tells them she'll redeem someone that day. The rest of the episode then follows Charlie trying to redeem Angel and failing, and her trying to figure out why Serpentious was redeemed. She eventually theorizes that in order to be redeemed, sinners must right their sins and ask Angel his sin. Angel is clearly uncomfortable with this, and seeing this, Vox tells Charlie Angel killed his dad. This upsets Angel, and Charlie tells the V's to leave. Also, during this episode, there's a side plot with Cherry realizing her feelings for Serpentious, and they both sing a song about missing each other. I honestly don't like this storyline. It's extremely cliched and not really well developed, but it exists. Anyways, the episode ends with the V's once again bending the truth and making Charlie and the hotel look bad. Episode 4 focuses on Alistair, who's been MIA so far. First, Charlie once again tries to undo the V's slander and decides to do a live interview so the V's can't twist her words. They still do. And during this, we get to a very key line.
An angel told you your silly little snake friend was alive. The same angels that made it their whole thing for 7 years to kill as many of us as possible.
So we finally learned that the exterminations have been going on for 7 years, which honestly isn't as long as I thought it would be, but I'll get into that later. Anyways, the interview flops. Moving on to Alistair, we see him decide to quit the hotel and visit Rosie to tell her such. And this is where we get so much lore. Did I hit the mic? I did. We get Alistair's backstory and finds out that while human, Alistair made a deal with Rosie to be the strongest sinner. But his soul will be owned by Rosie until he completes her task, which we don't find out what her task is, but we do find out that Rosie is the reason why Alistair is so powerful and why he disappeared for 7 years and joined the hotel. After his staff was broken and being badly wounded, Alistair believes he is in fact not the strongest sinner. So he tries to cut off the deal, but Rosie reminds him that he is, and the deal is still valid by calling him her pet. And with this information, my theory for my my first video of Alistair making a deal with Lilith is now busted, which kind of sucks, but I don't hate this. Anyways, we see Alistair pondering a way out of his deal, and we see him coming up with an idea. He then attacks the V's, which Nifty sees and, for some reason, grabs Husk and goes to help Alistair. We get a pretty good fight scene, Husk and Nifty are subdued, and Alistair proposes a deal with Vox. This deal being that Alistair would join their propaganda and be Vox's prisoner as long as he lets Nifty and Husk go and should not lay his hands on Charlie. Vox accepts this and feels himself for the rest of the episode. Episode 5 starts with the other overlords finding out about Alistair's defeat, and we see Vox talking to all the overlords, except for Rosie for some reason, trying to recruit them to overtake Heaven, and most accept. During this episode, Charlie tries to get in touch with Emily and is mopey after once again being slandered by the V's, and Vaggie gets the idea to ask Lucifer to fight Vox. Lucifer tells Vaggie that as part of his punishment, he is unable to physically harm sinners, which honestly makes so much sense given his uselessness. Vaggie then asks if he can at least scare Vox away, and he agrees. Side note, why didn't Vaggie just ask him to get another meeting with Heaven since he did that last season? That's what I thought she was going to do. Well, this doesn't matter anyway, since Sarah, Emily, Abel, and Luch go down to Hell and tell Charlie their plan to apologize and give Hell gift baskets, cause that would make up for genocide. We then see Vox hold a rally to get people to back his plan to invade Heaven, and Lucifer crashes the rally to intimidate Vox, but Vox brushes him off. Kind of feels like he knows Lucifer can't harm him, which he shouldn't. Anyways, that's a bust, and Charlie and the Angels also crash the rally. The Angels try to apologize and Vox mocks them. Sarah and Lutz get heated and Vox capitalizes on this, successfully getting the crowd to turn on the Angels and announcing war with Heaven. The Angels then leave and don't, for whatever fucking reason, mention that Serpentius was redeemed, which they had plenty of time to do and probably would have helped, but whatever. Charlie then goes back to the hotel and is mad about what her dad tried to do, and finds out that it was Vaggie's idea. Oh, I should mention that during the season, Vaggie has this whole journey of trying to come up with a different name, but she eventually lands on sticking with Vaggie, which is why I am calling her that. Anyways, episode 6 starts with Vox blackmailing Carmilla to build him a weapon, threatening to tell Heaven she was the one that supplied Charlie with the weapons that killed so many angels, which is a bit odd since Vox shouldn't know this. Moving on, Charlie is upset with Vaggie for asking Lucifer to scare Vox, which is funny since Charlie is more mad at Vaggie here than when she learned that Vaggie is an angel and killed many sinners, but priorities I guess. This bickering doesn't last long though, as they talk things out and get back on the same page. Later we see Angel arrive at his next gig and he sees Vox waiting for him. Vox then proceeds to reveal to Angel he's been mind controlling him, which is why he knew about the Angels and Lucifer's secret, and oh, okay, well played there HH, well played. Also, I should note that during this episode, Vox and Val get into an argument. Throughout the season, Alistair keeps planting seeds in Vox's head, which makes him get power hungry and incredibly selfish, and he neglects his relationship with Val and Velvet, which they notice and don't really like, and we start seeing a rift come between them. Back to episode 6, it ends with Lucifer getting a call from Charlie saying she wants to talk, only for it to be revealed it's Vox who made the call. Episode 7 starts with Vox trapping Lucifer, and we get a very good song going over Vox's backstory. Vox then does a broadcast where he controls Angel to slander the hotel, and shows off the weapon Carmilla built that gets its power from Lucifer. He then fires a warning shot at Heaven, which destroys the barrier and front gate, and hacks Heaven's airways and tells them, specifically Sarah, that they have 24 hours to surrender him the kingdom or Heaven will experience their own extermination. A panic in Heaven ensues, and during a council meeting, Emily, Lute, and Abel are talking to Sarah about what to do. Sarah tells Lute to raid the troops, but to Lute's dismay, she tells them to stand by and gives Emily 24 hours to come up with a peaceful solution. While this is happening, Charlie freaks out and the gang, really Vaggie, decide to bunker up and wait things out, though Cherry and Husk want to rescue Angel. Charlie then gets a call from Vox inviting her to join his party for the attack. He does this because he wants Charlie to confess that he's the strongest sinner in order to get more people in hell to support him, and he came up with this idea thanks to Alistair manipulating him. Back at the hotel, Emily shows up and suggests showing Hell that Serpentius was redeemed to stop Vox's invasion. Baxter, who finally becomes relevant, says he can get them into the V's tower, and that he can hack into the broadcast system in Hell while Serpentius hacks into the system in Heaven to show all of Hell that redemption is possible. The episode ends with another banger of a song showing everyone preparing for the upcoming battle. And by the way, Abel and Lute have the best part, and that is not up for debate. Finally, episode 8 starts with the gang enacting their plan, which has Vaggie and Charlie going to the party as guests, and Baxter getting himself, Nifty, Husk, and Cherry inside the tower, where Husk and Cherry split off to rescue Angel, and Baxter and Nifty go to the control room to hack the system. And while this is going on, Serpentius is getting things ready on his end. During the party, Vaggie sneaks off to try to disable the weapon. Hey, getting that tube worked, how about you keep doing that? Oh no? That's fine. She finds Lucifer inside and continues struggling to disable the weapon. Hey, how about you cut those tubes connecting to Lucifer? Anyways, Charlie gets on stage and starts enacting her side of the plan. The plan then is for Baxter to broadcast Serpentius on the screen behind her, with Emily showing up as a sign of unity, but things don't go as planned. With everything set up, Baxter just has to hit one button to show the broadcast, but he gets stopped by Velvet, and Cherry and Husk get cornered by Val. Emily still shows up despite the delay, and Cherry and Husk fight Val while Velvet fights Nifty. Oh my god, Baxter, you're right there. Just hit the fucking button! Anyways, Vox wants Charlie to admit he's the most powerful sinner. She refuses, but Alistair uses his favor from their season 1 deal to get Charlie to say Vox is the strongest sinner. This is broadcasted, which gets most of Hell to cheer for Vox, which gives him more power, I guess, making him the strongest sinner. I don't quite understand the logistics, but the point is that because Charlie said this no longer makes Alistair the strongest, which breaks his deal with Rosie. Overeager with his power, Vox goes to thank Charlie for sucking, don't take that out of context, and puts his hands on Charlie. Uh-oh, that goes against your deal, Vox. Those darn technicalities. With Vox breaking the deal, Alistair is free and fights Vox. Lots of fighting, lots of fighting. Angel is mind controlled to attack Cherry. Baxter has to restart his process, which is dumb because he was already one button away, but whatever. Fighting. Val and Velvet are defeated, and Angel is freed of his mind control. For now. Vox eventually shoots the weapon at Alistair, with the first blast destroying Baxter's computer, meaning Sir Pentious is on his own. Oh, so you weren't even needed, Baxter? Why are you here? Anyways, Vox fires the weapons more, Emily gets injured, which Sarah sees, and a bunch of sinners get killed. Wait a second. Lucifer can't harm sinners, so how can his power kill them? We're just not gonna address that. Anyways, seeing that Vox is destroying Hell, Queen Velvet and Val stop him and behead him. But they're too late, and the weapon overheats and is about to explode, which will wipe out half of Hell. Another great song plays, where once again Abel and Lutz had the best part. Oh yeah, they come to grab Emily, but Luke goes rogue and Abel puts her in her place. It's really inconsequential, but it's the best part of the song. During this song, we see Charlie, Emily, and all the overlords. Wait, who are you two? Whatever, they all use their power to prevent the explosion. Yay, the power of friendship.
So, we're never talking about this shit ever again, right?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go with no.
Well, the power of friendship just for a day. Everyone cheers, and Sir Pentious finally gets the broadcast going. A little late there, but yay, success. We then see Husk and Cherry talking to Angel, who says he can't go back to the hotel with them out of fear of being controlled to attack them again. Time passes, and we see the hotel is packed, and the season ends with Charlie once again leaving a message for her mom.
Mom?
Calling it now, season 3 will start with that phone call being from literally anyone else besides Lilith. And that's my overview. On to my likes. Why did I do that? I don't know. Just want to be sassy, I guess. I actually really like this season, which was a problem. The video I did for season 1 is my most successful video, so I thought, great, season 2 is coming out, it'll probably have really bad pacing, I can make another video on it, get a lot of views. But then I watched it and I was like, wait, this is actually really good. The pacing's a lot better. Like, this can't be happening. It wasn't supposed to be good. That wasn't a part of my calculations. Now, there still are some things I didn't like, which I'll get into, but overall, this season was really good and a big improvement from season 1. All the episodes are longer, with the season finale being twice as long, which helped immensely since storylines had a chance to breathe and didn't feel rushed. For instance, the slow burn of Val and Velvet turning on Vox and Alistair manipulating him was well done. We saw so many instances of Alistair planting scenes that makes sense that he was successful, and there was so much shown of Vox being an asshole towards Val and Velvet that it warrants them turning on him. I like that the story still had them wanting to carry out the plan to take over heaven. It would have been cliched if they decided to forego that plan, but instead they decided to deal with Vox after they won and only turn on him when it was clear that they lost and that Vox went too far, which was a great writing choice. Also, I did want to say that I thought it was funny the story had Vox blackmail Carmilla to do his bidding, which is what I had Velvet do in one of my changes in season 1, and I feel now very validated about that change. Another thing that I really liked is that there were actual consequences for things. I love that the season started with the fallout of the hotel killing so many angels and Sir Pentious's death. I'm glad the story just didn't skip over that, and that we saw Charlie feeling really guilty about it. I also enjoyed the back and forth between Charlie and the V slandering her. I liked for the first few episodes she kept trying different ways to correct her image, and she didn't just give up or stop after one attempt. And because of this, I felt each episode flowed nicely into each other. With season 1, there was so much going on that each episode felt like their own story, but with this season, the storylines connected better between each episode. I do think this season did a lot better because the story was on a much smaller scale. There was so much that needed to be established in season 1, and there were so many things happening, but in this season, it was mostly about Charlie versus the V's. I feel like if this feud was in season 1, it would have been like 2 episodes, but in this season, it lasted for all 8 episodes, which allowed for more development and a stronger payoff. I also think the balance between comedic beats and serious moments was a lot better, which I didn't really talk about for my video for season 1, but I think something that this show struggles with is having comedic moments ruin dramatic ones. I do think the first episode in this season struggled with that, but with episode 2 and on, it was a lot better. A prime example is the scene with Heaven panicking over Vox's warning shot. The show allows us to feel that panic. It's not offset by comedic beat. The panic is allowed to breathe, and we see this carry over to the council meeting. I did like that we got a whole episode in heaven for episode 2. I was concerned we weren't going to see much of a fallout for Sir Pentious being there, but we did. And it was so refreshing to see Sarah admit that she was wrong and did a 180 on her beliefs instead of just doubling down. She didn't ignore the evidence that was right in front of her, which so many people can learn from. It was also nice that they didn't make the angels in heaven all assholes or corrupt. It was just really Sarah who was trying to do what she thought was right but made a poor decision. I loved the backstories of characters when they were human and learning their sins. That was great. I hope we get more of that. Loved all the lore too. I do also like that there are some things that we still don't know, with the big one being Lilith. It is slightly annoying that the tease of her in season 1 ended up melting to nothing, but I'll take that if it means her storyline is not rushed. I also like that we learned the exterminations have been going on for 7 years, which to be honest doesn't really feel that long. Based on how the characters talked about them and acted around them, specifically Charlie, it just felt to me it was something that had been going on for quite some time. I don't think it's a bad choice objectively, but I just don't like it. I honestly need to know how old Charlie is. That would really clear things up for me. Another lore thing we got was Alistair's deal with Rosie, which Rosie being a hidden mastermind was not something I was expecting, and I like that. This also explains why Alistair was so powerful, which is nice. However, part of me wishes that Alistair made a deal while he was in hell. I think it would have been interesting to see what made him desperate enough to do that, instead of just being constrained from a deal from the get-go. But again, this is not a bad writing choice, and kudos for the story surprising me. Oh, and speaking of deals, I love that we saw Alice's deal with Charlie come into play. That was really cool. So yeah, I really enjoyed this season. The writing was a lot better. The songs were really good, but they were also always good. Lute and Abel were the best singers, and ZZ. And can we talk about Abel being fucking Fallout Boy? Like,
Damn.
That all said, there were of course things I didn't like. My biggest dislike is with Lute. First off, loved Gravity, such a banger, and the visuals during this song were really cool, albeit a bit extra. However, when I watched this scene, I immediately thought, okay, the story needs to have Lute follow up on this song since it has such a huge build up. As in, she needs to do something consequential, and she doesn't. The closest she gets is going to hell and fighting Vaggie, which just felt like an afterthought, especially since her fight with Vaggie isn't even the main thing happening on the screen, and it's over very quickly. My other big complaint is Baxter. He's just kind of there. He very much felt like a Sir Pentious sub-in, and he didn't really contribute much to the story. Now, I do know that in one of the original drafts, Baxter was a main character, but ended up getting cut, so it kind of just feels like in this season, he's more of an Easter egg. I just feel like the time used for him could have been used better elsewhere, so spoiler alert for my How I Change section, I'm cutting Baxter. I talked about it. I don't like the Cherry and Sir Pentious storyline, especially since this makes up so much of Cherry's character. I wish she was more than just a love interest. Speaking of which, hi Vaggie. Still probably my least favorite character. Oh, I didn't do my favorite character. I'll give it to Velvet to make up for last time. Anyways, Vaggie. In episode 6, we finally got a scene of Charlie apologizing to Vaggie. Throughout the whole season, Charlie's going nuts and she's not listening to Vaggie, and it's pretty much in the wrong every time, so it was nice that we finally see her owning this. But then Vaggie immediately comforts her. Once again, Vaggie is just there to support Charlie, and yes, there was the whole name changing thing, but that felt half-assed. I will say, we did get a flashback of Vaggie when she was an angel. That does give me hope that in season 3 she'll finally be a fleshed out character. Going back to Charlie, and admittedly this is nitpicky, I felt like she was more childish this season than the last one. Same with Val and Velvet. These two just didn't have as much grit or agency as they did in season 1. Like season 1, Velvet would not let Vox talk to her like that. And Val was more of a cartoon, which he has always been, but in season 1 he was shown to be someone you don't want to mess with. There's also other little things I didn't like not seeing Vox talking to Rosie, the angels not telling Hell Sir Pentious was redeemed, and Vaggie not asking Lucifer to get them another meeting with heaven. There's just no good reason why these things didn't happen. And speaking of Lucifer, I don't like how useless he is. He's the king of hell, but he's just there. Now, this is a different interpretation of him, which is nice, and they did give a reason for why he's useless. I wish he did more, but it's not terrible enough to warrant me changing him this season. Going back to the Hotel gang, I didn't like how so many of them took a back seat this season, specifically with Husk, Nifty, and Angel. I felt like we saw the reporter more than them. Now, I know season 3 will be more about Husk and Angel, which is great, and them taking a back seat this season would have been fine if they had been properly developed in season 1, which they weren't. And that brings me to my How I Change section. Let me start by saying I still stand by my changes I made for season 1. Now, some of my ideas probably wouldn't work given what we got in season 2, but I did the best that I could with what was given for season 1. For the sake of the video, however, I'm only focused on season 2. I'm I'm not going to try to connect anything to my changes for season 1, nor am I going to try to fix any mishaps for season 1 and season 2. Also, I'm working with what I got, so I'm sticking to only 8 episodes and the original runtime. If there's anything I want to add, I'll have to cut something to make room for them. And again, season 2 was mostly great, so this is more of a fun exercise. But let's get started, shall we? This is how I changed season 2 of Hazbin Hotel. Let's go over with what I want to address. 1. I want to develop loot and have a better payoff for gravity. 2. Have the angels mention Serpentis was redeemed. I'll also be doing some other things here, you'll see. 3. Make Charlie feel less childish this season and more apologetic towards Vaggie, as well as give Val and Velvet more grit this season. Once again, shamelessly adding more Velvet screen time. And 4. Do some general polishing throughout the story. To make room for these things, I of course must do some cuts, and to no one's surprise, I am cutting Baxter. His character brings nothing, he's utterly useless, and with him gone, I can do some interesting things. Now I'll have to address his absence, but that won't be too hard to do. Starting with episode 1, because I cut Baxter, the time used for him I'll use to show Velvet and Val being overlords. I'll put this after Vox talks to Katie Killjoy. In the episode, Velvet mentioned she was at a meeting, so I'll show her leading that and show Val recruiting sinners for his films, including the one we saw him with later in the episode. By doing this, we re-establish that Vel and Velvet are overlords for a reason, and it gives them a bit more credibility. Also, with Baxter gone, I'll have Charlie start the Hazbin Guarantee song after a reporter asks her a question, and she'll grab a random sinner, it'll be this one, and sing with her instead of Baxter. Moving on to episode 3, since episode 2 is good as is. Again, since Baxter is gone, to replace the scene with him and Cherry, I'll extend the scene with her at the bar. They clearly want the Cherry and Serpentis love story to happen, so I have to keep it. With the bar scene I'm extending, I'll keep the idea of Cherry wanting to know more about Serpentis and have Husk tell her about him trying to be an overlord, but gave up after he found the other overlords too cruel. Husk was an overlord, so it makes sense that he would know this. I then have Cherry double down on the turf wars she had with Serpentis, and that doesn't make sense for Serpentis to do this if he found the overlords too cruel. I think it'd be interesting if I add a flashback showing them how they started fighting each other, which develops both Cherry and Serpentis more. Then after this flashback, we go back into their song together, and the rest of the episode plays out the same. Moving on to episode 5, since episode 4 is also good as is. The first change I will make is including a shot with Vox talking to Rosie in the Bad With Us number, since it's silly she wasn't included. I'll add it between Zestral's and Carmilla's shots, and I'll have them sipping tea together, but Vox is clearly not getting through to her. I have room to do this and future changes in this episode because Baxter is now gone and the time used for his dialogue is now cut. Fast forward to Vaggie talking with Lucifer. I'll have her first ask Lucifer if he can get in contact with Heaven, specifically Emily. He tries but can't because it's locked down, so Vaggie then asks him to attack/scare Vox. It's a very minor change, but it was driving me crazy she didn't do this, so now it's added. Fast forward to the scene where Emily suggests apologizing to Hell and giving them gift baskets. This is where I'm going to start bringing in more of Lute. After they decide to do the gift basket plan, Lute tells them this is foolish and that Hell is too chaotic for this to work. She tells Sarah only force will work, but Sarah shoots her down, opting to try something new with Emily's plan. I'll then add a line of Lute telling Sarah something along the lines of, "Don't say I didn't warn you." Moving on to Heaven crashing the rally, I'm going to rework all the dialogue in this part. I will have it start with Emily and Sarah apologizing and Vox mocking them and telling them apologies and gift baskets isn't enough for genocide, which is valid. However, upon seeing this, Emily will say that Serpentis is in heaven and uses her angel powers to show images of him there. This gets the crowd murmuring and Vox starts saying it's just a bunch of lies, and even if that was true, why would they want to live in a place controlled by those who enacted genocide on them? Which gets the crowd back on his side. I'm doing this for 2 reasons. 1, it was also driving me crazy that the angels didn't do this, and 2, I thought it'd be interesting if Hell was told this information but either didn't believe it or didn't care because of the damage that Hell has done to them. This then really emphasizes to Emily and Sarah how bad Heaven has messed up and that it's going to take a lot more than gift baskets and even the notion of redemption to make things right. I feel this overall raises the stakes and adds a lot more tension, and I will be adding more Lute here as well. Instead of Lute confronting Vox, after seeing Hell reject them even when they revealed redemption is possible, Lute goes to Sarah and says something like, "See how unholy they are, they don't want redemption, there's no hope for them." It's this that then influences Sarah to get heated and call off Vox, which leads Vox to declaring war on them. I like this because it establishes more of a relationship between Lute and Sarah, and it makes Lute more important because she's the one that got into Sarah's ear, which leads to Sarah getting mad and war being declared on them. Lute's anger is now causing major consequences, even if it is unintentional. The angels then go back to heaven, and I'll again have Lute reinforce to Sarah that she was right, and Sarah tries to process this. I'll then have the episode play out the same, and for clarity's sake, I didn't cut Charlie finding out Lucifer threatened Vox, that's still there. Moving on to episode 6 and fast forwarding to the Pillow Fort. I like that the scene starts with Charlie apologizing to Vaggie, but it quickly quickly turns to Charlie talking about trying to finish what her mom started and crying about everyone leaving, which makes Vaggie comfort her. My tweak here is having Charlie fully taking accountability and telling Vaggie that she knows she got too caught up in her mom's dream and that she is the one who pushed everyone away. This is already implied in the original dialogue, but fully committing to her taking full accountability makes it feel less childish. I'll then have her say to Vaggie she feels she pushed her away too, and that can lead into their song together. And with the song Easy, I keep Vaggie's part the same, but Charlie's part will be her singing about how she'll make up for her faults and get the gang back together, with Vaggie encouraging her. These are small changes, but they make a difference. We see Charlie growing and actually putting in work to do better, and it's not just Vaggie brushing off all her faults and telling her everything will be fine. Moving on to episode 7. Let's start with the cuts. Baxter is gone, so there should be enough time for me to add what I want. Fast forward to the hotel king outside after Fox's warning shot and where Charlie began panicking. I will still have her panicking, but not to the point of uselessness. When Vaggie suggests bunkering down, I'll have Charlie push back, saying they can't just do nothing. Vaggie reinforces that there's nothing they can do, and Charlie, who's growing, actually listens to her. Fast forward to the gang securing the hotel. We'll now see Charlie helping secure the place while calling her mother. Amid them locking down, Cherry and Husk bring up Angel to Vaggie and Charlie, saying he's likely being mind controlled and that they need to save him. I'll have Vaggie say it's too dangerous to rescue him, and we see Charlie conflicted. She'll then get a call from Vox and they'll have the same conversation. Afterwards, Vaggie still tells Charlie she shouldn't go, but Charlie says there's now a very small chance that she could stop the attack, and at the very least she'll be closer to Angel so she can protect him. Though I do want Charlie to take more accountability and actually listen to Vaggie, it's not in her character to do absolutely nothing. Charlie will listen to Vaggie and not fighting back, but she's not going to do nothing. Of course though, that changes once Emily arrives. Now obviously the plan they come up with is to broadcast Serpentius showing that he was redeemed, but with my changes Hell already knows this, kind of. I would have it that many people in Hell believe this is a lie, so broadcasting Serpentius would help convince people it's not. So that part of the plan is still going to happen. And for the most part, their plan is still the same with 2 exceptions. The first one is factoring that Baxter is no longer there. Instead, Cherry, Nifty, and Husk are going to simply sneak into the V's tower and rescue Angel together, while Serpentius wires the broadcast from heaven on his own. The other change being more for Emily. I'll have her reflect during the scene at the hotel, where she tells the gang she knows that there's almost nothing heaven can do to make up for their genocide, and understands why sinners might not want to get into heaven anymore given what they've done, and she wants to do what she can by listening to the sinners about how to make things right, and she wants to tell all of Hell this. I would also have them plan on showing Sarah on the broadcast after Serpentius is shown, saying the same thing as Emily and fully admitting that it was her alone who greenlit the extermination. The gang likes this plan, including Vaggie, who now thinks there might actually be a chance in stopping the invasion. I feel like that after the gift baskets didn't work, Emily didn't really fully grasp why. She's still too optimistic that a simple apology will work, so I liked the idea that her viewpoints were challenged, and in order to make things right, she has to change her approach. This then kind of hints at the need for there to be justice. I do think Heaven, specifically Sarah, got off too scot-free committing genocide, so I like the idea of hinting at there being some sort of justice in season 3. Also, side note, I did have Emily show at the rally in episode 6 images of Serpentius, so technically yes, she could do that again, but I'll have it that she can't show these images throughout all of Hell, nor can she show live videos, which is why the broadcast is necessary. And I would have her clarify that to the gang. Alrighty, it's finally episode 8 time. It's still going to start the same with Vaggie going over the plan in more detail, and it will contain my new changes. Again, Baxter is not there, so instead of Baxter letting them in, Cherry, Nifty, and Husk sneak their way into the tower and look for Angel. This means I'll be getting some more time back since the scenes in the control room are cut, which I'll need later. Fast forward to Cherry and Husk finding Angel. The change here is that Nifty is now with them. Fast forward again to Vaggie catching the tubes on the weapon. I'm just going to make it that she can't cut through the tubes. Fast forward more to Val finding Cherry, Husk, and now Nifty helping Angel. Only now he's with Velvet. I'm basically combining their fight scenes. Cherry and Husk will still fight Val, and Nifty will still fight Velvet, but their fights are now happening in the same room. And their fights will play out the same from there and end the same as well. Fast forward to Vox using the weapon on Alistair and killing a bunch of sinners. I'm going to add a shot of the sinner we saw in the first episode being amongst those killed. She's a sinner that we recognize, so her being killed leaves more of an impact with the audience when we see the weapon being used on Hell. Fast forwarding, God, I've said that too many times, to Emily saving Alistair and getting her wing destroyed. That's not happening. Not the wing part. She'll barely save Alistair, and the rubble from the building hit nearby does cause them to fall to the ground near the weapon, and Charlie runs to them. Sarah sees this and tells Abel to ready the troops, but Serpentius convinces her to give him more time, so she just sends Abel and Lute down to rescue Emily. I then will add Lute pushing back and say she should send all the troops, but Sarah shuts her down again, and Lute reluctantly goes down with just Abel. And rather than have Lute and Abel take their sweet ass time getting to hell, I'll have them immediately show up and rush over to Emily. Then the scene will play out the same. Fox points the weapon at Alistair, Carmilla warns him the weapon will explode if he fires it one more time, and the V's take down Vox. My change here though is that the weapon doesn't actually overheat, since Velvet stopped Vox before he could fully fire it. There's a brief celebration as Emily and Charlie celebrate stopping Vox, then all of a sudden they hear the weapon starting up, and uh-oh, it's Lute. Upon hearing Carmilla mentioning the weapon overheating and her anger getting the best of her, Lute decides to fire up the weapon and points it directly at Charlie. She fires it, but Emily pushes Charlie out of the way, and it's here Emily's wing gets destroyed. From there, the weapon starts to overheat, and Lute laughs maniacally, knowing it will explode and take out half of hell. With this change, Lute actually does something consequential. Consequential. Yeah, I said it right. Living up to the anger we saw from her in Gravity. With the weapon overheating, Charlie and Abel run to Emily, and Vaggie runs to Charlie. Abel says to Lute something like, "What have you done?" And after Vaggie makes sure Charlie is okay, she tells Charlie to handle the weapon and she'll handle Lute. Vaggie then attacks Lute, and they'll add a proper fight scene between them. As they fight, Charlie tries to figure out what to do, but Carmilla tells them it's too late. And from there, everything will play out the same with the song Hear My Hope. Of course, there's a minor tweak since Lute and Abel are already there, and Lute and Vaggie are already fighting, so instead when the part of the song comes in, it goes back to Vaggie and Lute fighting, and the dialogue will be slightly adjusted as needed. And then from there, the episode will play out the same till it gets to Serpentius broadcast. I'll add in the part of Sarah coming in and mentioning all those things, and it's a combination of Sarah taking ownership and Emily saving the sinners that gets the sinners to maybe not be against heaven anymore. Maybe, who knows, genocide and all. And then from there to the end, the episode plays out the same. And there we have it. That's my changes for season 2 of Hazbin Hotel. Thank you so much for coming on this journey with me. The last thing I want to talk about is what I'm hoping for in season 3. I'm hoping the focus is on Charlie trying to redeem sinners, and I want the main theme to be, God damn it, fucking hell. I'm literally in the last 2 goddamn paragraphs. Oh my god, that fucking pisses me off. You gotta be fucking ass kidding me. I'm hoping the focus is more on Charlie trying to redeem sinners, and that the main theme is whether or not sinners can/should be redeemed. I want the 3rd season to be character driven, and I want everybody's backstory, including learning more about Vaggie, what's up with Lilith, and everyone's sin. I do hope there is more of a fallout from the exterminations. There has to be some sort of justice besides sorry. And lastly, my guess is Alistair would be the main villain of season 3. Alistair being the main villain is a great arc for Charlie at the end of season 3, or even at the end of season 4, since if Alistair is the main villain, this will test Charlie's morals and beliefs in that anyone can be redeemed. I just hope at some point she is really tested on this. But that's all I have. Let me know of your opinions on my changes down below, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Hopefully, I don't know, I'm gonna get a lot of returners here, maybe, I don't know, whatever. Ta-ta!